I absolutely can, Song replied as she checked her sidearm. The Vordax need to understand that humans don't make empty threats. 3 hours later, Song returned to the command center with a slight burn on her left shoulder, but a determined look in her eyes. Behind her, medical teams rushed to treat the freed hostages. The Vordax lost 7 soldiers, reported Jin. No casualties on our side or among the hostages. Word of the successful rescue spread quickly through Narration space and beyond. Observer vessels from 3 Council species had arrived at the system's edge, monitoring but not intervening. They're watching to see if we'll fail, Lee noted bitterly. Let them watch, Song replied. Maybe they'll learn something. The Vordax High Command had enough of human interference. 2 weeks of disrupted operations had cost them valuable extraction time. The decision came swiftly. Crush the human fleet and make an example that would discourage future interventions. Captain Song studied the tactical display with growing concern. Long-range sensors showed 3 massive Vordax battle cruisers entering the system, accompanied by dozens of smaller vessels. They're done testing us, Commander Lee observed grimly. This is their main battle group. Time to arrival, Song asked. 6 hours at current speed. Song nodded slowly. Call all ship commanders to emergency briefing. And get me Elder Ju and Ta. The meeting room grew crowded as human officers and Narration leaders gathered around the central holographic display. The mood was tense as Song revealed the approaching threat. We're outnumbered 3-1, she said plainly. Their ships carry more firepower than our entire fleet. Then we must evacuate while we can, suggested one of the human captains. Save as many Narratians as possible before the Vordax arrive. Elder Ju's silver scales seemed to pale further. There are still thousands in hidden camps across the system. We cannot evacuate everyone in time. We're not leaving, Song stated firmly. But we're also not fighting them on their terms. She moved her hands through the holographic display, highlighting various points in the Narration system. The Vordax expect us to form a defensive line around the habitats, a logical strategy they can easily overwhelm with superior numbers. Her fingers traced new patterns across the display. Instead, we'll use what they consider our greatest weakness, unpredictability. Over the next hours, human ships scattered across the system in what appeared to be a chaotic retreat. Medical vessels carried vulnerable Narratians deeper into the asteroid belt. Combat ships positioned themselves behind moons and within dust clouds. Nothing remained to defend the main habitats directly. The Vordax will be suspicious, warned Commander Lee. Now we are reconsidering. The Alteri hesitated. There may be value in what we have lost. As human ships prepared to escort Narration refugees to their new colony world, Elder Ju presented Captain Song with a memorial crystal containing the names of everyone saved by human intervention. The Council species have advanced philosophies about the greater good, Ju said. But when extinction threatened us, only humans responded with more than words. In the years that followed, humanity's position in galactic society transformed. Some species regarded them with new caution, others with newfound respect. Trade agreements and cultural exchanges with Earth increased dramatically. In Narration schools, children learned about the humans who came when no one else would, the species whose irrational anger had saved a civilization. Perhaps most tellingly, Council species began reviewing their own ethical codes, questioning whether perfect rationality without compassion was rationality at all. The galaxy was changing, one rescued world at a time. Respond with our terms, Song instructed the communications officer. We'll withdraw when they cease all operations in Narration territory and provide reparations for damages caused. They'll never agree, said Officer Min. I don't expect them to, Song replied. But now they know we're not leaving. The real work continued around them. In the 3 days since their arrival, human forces had established a multilayered response. Medical ships treated the injured and malnourished. Engineering teams reinforced failing habitat systems. Supply vessels distributed food and water purifiers. Most importantly, Special Forces Commander Jin had begun training Narration resistance fighters. Though naturally peaceful, the silver-scaled people had shown remarkable determination to protect their remaining population. They're quick learners, Jin reported during the evening briefing. They know their home systems better than any map could show. With proper equipment and tactics, they can be effective against Vordax patrols. The goal isn't to win a war, Song reminded everyone. We need to make continued operations here too costly for the Vordax to maintain. They're resource extractors, not conquerors. If we raise the price high enough, they'll look elsewhere. The first test came at dawn. A Vordax harvester ship descended toward an evacuated Narration settlement, escorted by armed drones. As the massive machine prepared to begin mining operations, 2 human interceptors appeared from behind a moon. Warning shot only, Song ordered from the command center. Make it clear we mean business. The human vessels fired precision bursts that disabled 2 escort drones without destroying them. The harvester halted its descent, hovering uncertainly. They're requesting instructions from their command, reported Communications Officer Yoon. For 30 tense minutes, the standoff continued. Finally, the harvester turned and slowly retreated to orbit. Round 1 to humanity, murmured Lee. Song shook her head. They're just assessing our capabilities. The real test is still coming. It arrived sooner than expected. The following day, a Vordax strike team landed near a human medical outpost on the smallest Narration moon. They quickly overwhelmed the minimal security force and took the facility with its personnel hostage. 17 medical staff and 32 Narration patients, reported Officer Min. The Vordax commander demands our complete withdrawal, or they'll execute 1 hostage every hour. The command center fell silent as everyone turned to Song. Her expression remained calm, though her hands clenched briefly at her sides. Prepare a direct communication to their commander, she said, visual only. When the connection established, she stared directly into the camera. You have taken non-combatants hostage in violation of every civilized protocol. You have 1 hour to release them and withdraw. After that, we will consider this an act of war and respond accordingly. You are outnumbered and unauthorized, came the Vordax reply. Your threats are meaningless. Song cut the transmission and turned to Commander Jin. Ready the special tactics team. I'll lead the recovery operation myself. Captain, protested Lee. You can't risk yourself on a ground mission. They threatened to consider it an act of war. Kane's expression remained neutral, but Song could see the tension in his eyes. The Council suggests we extract our forces within 48 hours. With all due respect, Admiral, that's not going to happen. Song gestured to the window behind her, where human medical personnel could be seen treating injured Narration children. The situation here is worse than we anticipated. Extraction now would condemn these people to death. The other species say we're acting emotionally rather than rationally. They're right. Song's voice was firm, and I'll take human emotion over their rational genocide any day. After the transmission ended, Song walked to the habitat's observation deck. Below, she could see a Vordax harvester beginning operations on a new continent. In the distance, a human destroyer took up defensive position between the machine and a hidden Narration settlement. The battle was just beginning. But for the first time since the invasion, the Narratians were not alone. The Vordax commander, Grell, watched the video feed with narrowed eyes. For 3 days, human vessels had been establishing a defensive perimeter around the remaining Narration settlements. They came in different sizes and configurations: medical ships with red crosses painted on their hulls, small fighters patrolling in tight formations, and larger destroyers hovering at strategic positions. Curious, he rumbled to his second-in-command. They'd protect a species they have no alliance with against an enemy that could crush them. Humans are known to be irrational, replied his officer. The Galactic Council warned us they might interfere. They suggested we simply wait them out. Apparently humans grow bored quickly. Grell was less convinced. Prepare a message to their commander. Let's see what they want. On the main Narration habitat, Captain Song received the Vordax communication while coordinating evacuation efforts. She read it quickly before returning to the tactical display where Commander Lee was outlining defense strategies. "Vordax want to talk," she said. "They're offering safe passage if we leave Narration space immediately." "And if we refuse?" asked Lee. "They'll consider us economic disruptors and treat us accordingly." Lee snorted. "Nice way of threatening to kill us." She noticed the way various alien representatives watched them, some with new respect, others with barely concealed unease. "The humans are developing quite a reputation," whispered a tall Alteri diplomat to his colleague. "Unpredictable, but undeniably effective." The Galactic Council moderator, an ancient Modranian with pale blue skin, called the assembly to order. "We gather to resolve the conflict in Narration space and address the unauthorized military intervention by Earth forces." Song tensed slightly at the framing, but Admiral Kang placed a calming hand on her arm. The Vordax representative spoke first. "We had legal mining rights under Section 12 of the Resource Allocation Treaty. Human aggression has cost us millions in lost revenue and damaged equipment. Legal rights to commit genocide." Song couldn't help interrupting. The chamber fell silent at her outburst. The moderator frowned. "Captain Song, protocol requires." "Protocol allowed an entire species to face extinction," Song replied, her voice steady despite her anger. "While this council assessed and deliberated, people died." Elder Ju slowly rose from her seat. The elderly Narration's movements were stiff, but her voice carried clearly. "When we sent our distress call, we received acknowledgments from 23 spacefaring civilizations. Only humans responded with more than words." She turned her silver-scaled face toward the council representatives. "Your species pride themselves on rationality. You calculated that our extinction was an acceptable loss compared to potential conflict with the Vordax. Your algorithms determined intervention was irrational." The chamber remained uncomfortably silent as Elder Ju continued. "But what value system concludes that watching genocide is rational? What civilization calls itself advanced while allowing another to be erased?" A Modranian council member cleared his throat. The situation was complex. Intervention carried significant risks of escalation. "Yes, it did," Admiral Kang agreed. "Which is why humans took that risk instead of debating while people died." The negotiations continued for 3 days. Initially, the council representatives came to censure humanity for unauthorized military action. Instead, they witnessed first-hand accounts of the humanitarian catastrophe that would have unfolded without intervention. On the final day, Captain Song was asked to address the assembly. She stood without notes or prepared remarks. "The galaxy calls humans unpredictable because we act on more than calculation," she began. "You say we are ruled by emotions, as if that were a weakness. But our anger at injustice, our empathy for strangers, these are not flaws to be corrected. They are the foundation of civilization itself." She gestured to the Narration delegation. "Ask the survivors if our irrational response was wrong." The peace terms were finalized that evening. The Vordax would withdraw completely from Narration space and pay reparations for the damage caused. More significantly, the agreement established a precedent. Exploitation would no longer proceed unchallenged in the galaxy. As the delegates prepared to depart, Song found herself approached by an Alteri High Counselor. "Your tactics were unexpected," the tall alien admitted. "Our military analysts had calculated your defeat as a mathematical certainty." "Sometimes the right action doesn't appear on probability charts," Song replied, echoing her earlier message. The Alteri studied her with large, unblinking eyes. "We have engineered emotional responses out of our decision-making over generations. We considered it progress." And now, the distress signal echoed through space for the 9th consecutive day. Weak but persistent, it carried the unmistakable mathematical patterns of intelligent life in peril. Most species who intercepted it analyzed the signal briefly before filing it away. Another tragedy in a vast, indifferent cosmos. Captain Song stood motionless on the bridge of the UES horizon, her eyes fixed on the holographic display as the message played again. Unlike the 23 other spacefaring civilizations who had received and ignored the call, something in her chest burned with each repetition. "Play it one more time," she ordered. The communications officer nodded, and once again the translated voice filled the command center. "This is the Narration Coalition. Our worlds are under systematic attack by Vordax forces. Civilian casualties exceed 4 million. Our defensive capabilities are exhausted. We request immediate assistance under Galactic Accord Section 7. Please respond." Song's jaw tightened. The Narratins were known throughout explored space as peaceful philosophers and artists. Their worlds contained rare minerals, valuable, but hardly worth genocide. "Have we received any updates from Galactic Council representatives?" she asked. Lieutenant Han shook his head. "Only automated acknowledgments. The Council is still assessing the situation." 3 days of assessment while people die," muttered Commander Ba from the tactical station. "How very measured of them." Song turned to her senior staff. "Prepare a secure channel to Admiral Kang. Priority Alpha." Within the hour, 6 human commanders joined an encrypted conference from across Earth's defense network. Their faces appeared on separate screens around Song's office, expressions grim as she relayed the situation. "The Vordax are methodically stripping the Narration worlds," she concluded. "And the Council is doing what it always does, calculating acceptable losses against political convenience." Admiral Kang spoke first. "Our treaty obligations are clear. We're required to bring evidence to the Council and await consensus before military intervention. By which time there won't be any Narratins left to save," Song replied. "The other species think we're impulsive," said General Moon from Luna Command. "We act on emotion instead of pure logic." "Maybe that's exactly what's needed here." Song leaned forward. "The Alteri calculate risk, the Vex consider political advantage, and the Modrains analyze resource allocation. Meanwhile, no one does anything." Admiral Kang sighed. "What are you proposing, Captain?" "A rescue operation. Humanitarian primarily, with defensive capabilities. We evacuate survivors, provide medical aid, and secure what Narration territories we can." "Without Council approval?" asked Fleet Commander Park. "We notify them of our intentions. If they wish to join us, all the better." Silence fell across the connection. Humans had only gained acceptance into the galactic community 70 years earlier. Many species still viewed them with suspicion. Too unpredictable, too emotional, too willing to risk themselves for abstract principles. "The diplomatic fallout could be severe," Kang said finally. "And the moral fallout of doing nothing would be worse," Song countered. The decision came within the hour. 4 battle groups would converge on Narration space under Song's command. Their mission: humanitarian relief with authorization to defend themselves and Narration civilians if necessary. As preparation began, Song received a private message from a representative of the Alteri High Council, one of the most influential species in galactic politics. "We have analyzed your proposed intervention," the message read. "Our models indicate a 73% probability of failure, with significant risk of escalation. This is not the optimal course of action." Song typed a simple reply. "Sometimes the right action doesn't appear on your probability charts." Within 3 days, 27 human vessels broke orbit and headed toward Narration space. As they prepared for faster-than-light jump, final messages arrived from other Council species. All expressed deep concern about the situation. None offered assistance. "The Vordax expect the galaxy to stand by and watch," Song told her assembled officers during the final briefing. "Just as has happened before. They believe no one will risk themselves for strangers." She surveyed the determined faces before her, men and women who had volunteered despite the dangers ahead. "They'll be cautious," Song corrected, "which will slow their advance and give us more time." When the Vordax battle group arrived, they found the habitat stations seemingly abandoned. Their commander, Admiral Zeth, ordered careful scans before approaching. The humans have withdrawn their main forces, reported his sensor officer. We detect only scattered energy signatures throughout the system. A trap? Wondered Zeth. More likely they realized they were outmatched and fled, suggested his tactical officer. Their behavior patterns indicate emotional rather than strategic decision-making. Zeth ordered the fleet to advance slowly toward the main Narration habitat. As they approached, a single human vessel appeared, the UES Horizon with Captain Song on the bridge. Vordak's fleet. This is Captain Song. We request a parley under Section 5 of the Galactic Peace Accords. Zeth allowed himself a small smile. They'd wish to surrender. Open a channel. Song's image appeared on his command screen. She stood calm and straight-backed, despite the overwhelming odds against her. Captain, Zeth began, your intervention was ill-advised but admirably persistent. I will accept your surrender and allow your vessel's safe passage from this system. I'm not here to surrender, Song replied. I'm here to give you one chance to withdraw. Zeth blinked his 4 eyes in surprise before laughing. You have one vessel against my entire battle group. What leverage could you possibly have? The leverage of knowing this system better than you do, Song answered. Then she cut the transmission. Seconds later, the space around the Vordak's fleet erupted into chaos. Dozens of small attack craft emerged from hiding places in the debris field. They didn't target the Vordak ships directly. Instead, they fired precision strikes at pre-designated points in space. What are they doing? Zeth demanded as his tactical display filled with small explosions that seemed to miss their targets entirely. The answer came too late. The human strikes had ignited pockets of flammable gas that had been carefully positioned throughout the approach vector. Flames spread in expanding waves, temporarily blinding Vordak sensors. In that moment of confusion, the main human fleet attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. Smaller, faster human ships darted between the massive Vordak's cruisers, targeting engines and weapons systems with surgical precision. They're not trying to destroy us, realized Zeth's tactical officer. They're immobilizing us. From the bridge of the Horizon, Song coordinated the assault. Human vessels executed maneuvers that defied conventional space combat doctrine, sacrificing optimal firing positions for unpredictable movement patterns, using smaller ships to shield larger ones, and at times appearing to retreat only to circle back at dangerous velocities. The Vordaks, trained in formations and standard tactics, struggled to respond to this seemingly chaotic human approach. Their superior firepower became less effective against targets that refused to behave according to prediction models. After 3 hours of frustrating combat, Zeth's flagship lost engine control, dead in space as human vessels surrounded it. Song's voice came through on all Vordak's frequencies. Admiral, I believe it's time we discussed those terms again. Around the system, observer vessels from 7 council species recorded everything, their earlier dismissal of human tactics giving way to reluctant admiration. 2 weeks after the battle, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on the neutral station Concordia. The circular meeting chamber had been arranged with careful attention to diplomatic protocol. Vordak's delegates seated opposite the human contingent, with Narration survivors positioned between them. Around the outer ring sat observers from 12 Galactic Council species. Captain Song entered alongside Admiral Kang, both wearing formal dress uniforms. They don't understand humans very well, do they? The fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and operating without official sanction. But they carried something the calculating species of the galaxy had engineered out of themselves generations ago: the ability to feel rage at injustice and the willingness to act on it. For the first time since the Vordaks began their campaign, the Narratans would not face extinction alone. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Narration territory. Captain Song stared at the main view screen, her hands gripping the command chair as the devastation came into focus. Where intelligence had indicated 5 thriving worlds, 3 now showed the telltale scars of systematic mining operations. Orbiting the remaining planets were temporary structures, Refugee stations cobbled together from ship parts and salvage. Life signs? Song asked, her voice tight. Approximately 3 million Neritons concentrated in those habitats, reported Officer Kim, looking up from his sensor station. Their home planets show extensive damage. The Vordax are using automated harvesters to extract minerals from the planetary crust. Song nodded grimly. And the Vordax forces? 2 destroyer-class vessels near the 4th planet. They haven't detected us yet. Keep our position at the system edge. Activate stealth protocols. Song turned to her communications officer. Try to reach any Neriton authorities on a secure channel. For several tense minutes, the bridge crew worked in silence. Then Lieutenant Han looked up from his station. Captain, I've made contact with someone claiming to be Ta, leader of the Neriton resistance. The main screen flickered, revealing a silver-scaled face with large, dark eyes. The Neriton looked exhausted, with a visible wound across one shoulder. This is Captain Song of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We received your distress call and have brought humanitarian aid and defensive support. The Neriton's eyes widened. Humans? You? Responded. His voice contained both hope and confusion. We did. We're prepared to help evacuate your people and provide medical assistance. Ta stared at Song for a long moment. We transmitted our distress call to every member of the Galactic Council. The Altari acknowledged receipt but said intervention was inadvisable. The Modrains offered to document our cultural artifacts before they were lost. His voice cracked slightly. Why did only humans come? Song hesitated, choosing her words carefully. Sometimes being angry is the right response to injustice. Within hours, human shuttles began ferrying supplies to the refugee stations. Medical teams treated the injured while engineering crews reinforced the failing life support systems. Song established her command post on the largest habitat, meeting with the remaining Neriton leaders. The Vordax arrived without warning, explained Elder Ju, the oldest of the Neriton Council. Her scales had faded to pale gray with age. They claimed mining rights to our planets through an obscure clause in an old treaty. When we protested, they simply began operations. Those who resisted were eliminated. Their efficiency is terrifying. Added Ta, spreading a holographic map showing the Vordax methodical progress across the system. They strip one area completely before moving to the next. No negotiations, no mercy. Song studied the tactical display. How many Neritons remain unaccounted for? Perhaps 500,000 scattered across mining camps and hidden shelters, said Ta. The Vordax don't bother with prisoners. They simply work around us until a region is depleted, then move on. As they spoke, Officer Park entered the command center. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from several council species. They're requesting information about our unauthorized presence in Neriton space. Song's expression hardened. Tell them I'll respond when our immediate humanitarian work is complete. There's more, Park continued. The Altari representative claims they were preparing a diplomatic solution, and our presence has complicated delicate negotiations. Negotiations. Elder Ju's voice quavered. We've been begging for help for weeks while they deliberated. Our people are dying. Song placed a reassuring hand on the elder's shoulder. We're here now, and we're not leaving. Later that night, Song received a secure transmission from Admiral Kang. His image appeared grave on the small screen in her temporary quarters. The diplomatic situation is deteriorating, Captain. The Council has officially censured Earth for military deployment without authorization. The Vordax ambassador is demanding our immediate withdrawal. And if we refuse,